This is your Neepawa Town Council Debrief for the December the 6th, 2022 meeting. The debrief will take you through key issues being discussed by Council and provide a bit more information on what they mean for the town. Because of the length of this week's Council meeting, we will again be airing it in two parts, and we'll have a separate debrief for each of the parts. This is part 2. In the second half of the Council meeting, we move on to new business. Mayor Headley proposes a new committee on environmental health and volunteerism, which would engage residents on environmental stewardship. He offers several examples of items that the committee could address, ranging from organizing Observation of Earth Day, educating on recycling, developing a climate action plan, and more. This will be a pilot project for the next year, at which point they would assess how well the committee is working for the community. Additional information on how citizens can become involved will be forthcoming from the town.
So, just a consideration for a pilot project, a pilot committee that I've been thinking about, environmental health and volunteerism. So one of the things that looking at is engaging residents on environmental stewardship and providing assistance and recommendations to council on various environmental issues that may be of interest or concern to the town. So possible ideas is Earth Day, Eco Day, community cleanup. Other things that we've looked at is with the foster waste education, reuse and recycling programs with the food recycler. Looking also at promoting stewardship and preservation, conservation, protection, and enhancement of natural environment, climate action plan, for example. Another thought on this would be some type of a green business award. Within our community, we have several committees, businesses, and organizations that are working hard to have green initiatives on the go, and if there's an opportunity to kind of recognize some of that. And along with volunteerism, you know, there's things like tree planting. We've had community members in the past want to help out with at the cemetery with some of the projects we've done. So I guess what we would be looking at is just, you know, as we'll have to sit down and kind of hash this out, but I think the idea is that people would be able to put their names forward through an application process for volunteering and again, just the general environmental health of the community. I've talked to, if this is approved by our group, I've talked to Councillor Nadeau to look at chairing this, and I would be sitting on this committee as well. So that, I guess if you have any questions or concerns. Okay, and this is something that we would look at as a pilot for the next year and then make some decisions from there. So if there's no questions, Resolution 262 reads, be it resolved that we approve a pilot committee to be known as the Environmental Health and Volunteerism Committee, with Councillor Nadeau serving as chair and Mayor Headley as member. Be it further resolved that at the time of the next annual organizational meeting of council in 2023, decision will be made as to whether the council will formally amend the organization and procedures bylaw of the town of Neepawa to incorporate this committee. Moved by Councillor Kostenchuk, seconded by Councillor Sisley. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And thank you.
The town is now prepared to proceed with Phase 2 of the Neepawa Wastewater Treatment Facility project, and tenders have been received to carry out the project. CAO Colleen Sanchishan outlines the history of the project to this point, which started back in 2016. One point she highlights is prior to this upgrade, the town had to monitor the lagoon capacity every time a subdivision application came in because there was so little additional capacity in the current system. Neepawa's growth would not be possible without this upgrade.
Lagoon tenders, so Pauline's going to speak on that.
So this is Lagoon Phase 2. This has been a long drawn-out journey. Started in 2016 when we began exploring the expansion of the lagoon system to accommodate community growth. And what I'll say to this point is, I don't think the community understands our lack of infrastructure at that point in time. When we received subdivision applications, we were watched very closely in relation to the ability to provide the capacity at a lagoon to take any additional, housing or commercial enterprises or anything. So anytime a subdivision came in, we had to actively be sourcing out feasibility studies to create a new lagoon and accept that sewage. So it's been a long, drawn-out process to get to where we are today. In 2016, an opportunity was presented to participate in a moving bed biofilm reactor project called an MDBR project for the biological treatment of effluent, and Neepawa proceeded with the pilot of the system over the 2016-17 winter. This process representing a biological fixed film process targeting post-lagoon rectification. The success of the pilot formed the basis for a full-scale design for Neepawa, and once completed will be the first installation of its kind in Manitoba and even Canada for post-lagoon rectification. This project had to be divided into 2 phases due to how large it was and of course the financial ability to fund it. Phase 1 involved the rehabilitation of the first secondary lagoon cell with a new clay liner and berms and the construction of a wastewater treatment building with technological equipment. Phase 2 will ensure completion of the cell works to facilitate the wastewater flow through a single cell to the treatment facility. This will involve the full implementation of the MDBR system, the decommissioning of the primary and secondary cells, the installation of the aeration systems in the reformatted cell, and the addition of the UV components and the upgrading of the treatment facility to include a lab. Phase 1 cost us roughly $6.2 million. It was fully funded by way of reserves and grant funding. $3.1 million came from the town reserves that we set aside. $2.2 million came from federal funding through the Clean Water and Wastewater Fund, and then $900,000 came through the Water Services Board. Early estimates in 2018 to complete Phase 2 was coming in roughly $5 million. In order to fund Phase 2, at the time, applications were submitted to what is now known as the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities for a loan under the Green Municipal Fund, as well as undergoing the process to secure a debenture in the instance that the town would have to fund the entire project ourselves. The required boring bylaw was actually given approval and put in place in 2019. Neepawa's application for a loan from the FCM was actually approved in June of 2019. This loan would equate to $4,368,300 with a grant of $655,200, basically securing us the $5 million we needed. So with the borrowing bylaw in place, the FCM would actually become the lender to the debenture. Following 3 years of project delays and increased costs, in August of 2022, Neepawa was notified of approval under Investment in Canada Infrastructure Program for a total project cost of $6.3 million roughly. That included ineligible expenses of $570,000, some of which were in kind. So what's going to happen now, we have the loan from the FCM, but I can offset it now with funding that's coming to us. We're going to get $2.283 million from the federal government, or 40% of the project. We're going to get $1.9 million from the provincial government, or 33.33% of the project. And we'll be on the hook for 26.67% of the project, which is about roughly $1.5 million. So out of every dollar, we only have to pay almost 27 cents, which is a pretty good deal. The project finally went to tender and closed on November 18th. 5 bids were received and evaluated, and bids ranged from roughly $5.6 million to $9 million. The Associated Engineering and Water Services Board recommend accepting the low bid of T.O. Penner Construction in the amount of $5,597,432.14 plus GST, with the Manitoba Water Service Board agreeing to cost share the overage related to the increased budget. Just a note, by securing the ISEP funding, the necessity of debenture is greatly reduced, and we are currently reviewing the components of the loan and the borrowing bylaw to ensure the financial impact to complete the lagoon project is limited to the municipal contribution, with the goal of satisfying any debt in the short term. So we see no need to go on a 15-year debenture anymore. We just have to be able to manage the funds in and out as a cash flow to balance the budget and time it appropriately such that when we send our submissions in for the funding from the province and the federal government, that we have the ability to still operate while those monies are en route back to us. So if we're looking for your support, or TL Penner, 5.597 million.
Any questions on that? Okay, resolution 263, be it resolved that we accept the recommendation of the Manitoba Water Services Board to award the Neepawa Wastewater Treatment Facility Phase 2 project to TL Penner Construction for a total of $5,597,432.14 plus GST. Be further resolved that any additional costs for project engineering and consulting would be borne by the town of Neepawa, understanding that Manitoba Water Services Board is prepared to cost share the ineligible costs, engineering fees and interest costs at 50%. Moved by Councillor Nadeau, seconded by Deputy Mayor Parrott. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And what's interesting on this, the first four were within $15,000 of a $6 million project, and then the last one was $3 million.
Yeah.
Unreal.
It's a good thing we do our due diligence and tender.
Cincinnati also reports on a couple of studies that have been completed or are being conducted in the town. A water supply study has been completed, which included test hole drilling to determine the best site for new wells. This is in order to ensure a consistent supply of water for the town, as well as to allow for a full redundancy in the system. The town is not yet at the stage where they would be proceeding with any construction, but rather are looking at going forward with getting estimates and designs for the project. As well, a traffic impact study is being commissioned for Highway 5 east of town and next to the new hospital land. Also in that general area are the High Life plant as well as an industrial park. The town has also applied for a speed reduction in that area, which is unrelated to this study.
Water supply, Colleen.
So a little background on this topic. With difficulties maintaining a consistent raw water pumping rate due to the maintenance issues with the existing wells at Oberon and Hummerston, in January 2022, the town of Neepawa partnered with the Water Services Board to conduct a water supply study. With no changes to the annual water withdrawal rate required, and what this means is we are not changing our license that we have, that we draw water out of the aquifer. That is not what this is about. There will be no increase. The focus of the project will be the addition of new wells near the existing Oberon supply wells to support a consistent and reliable raw water supply from either Hummerston or Oberon, or a combination of both. Previous to conducting the test hole drilling, the town did make contact with the municipality of North Cypress Langford to ensure they were aware of the upcoming test hole drilling within the municipal rights of way and address any concerns. They were also advised that this had no effect on our license. We received no concerns. Upon completion of the test holes, Water Services Board, Neepawa, and Associated Engineering met to review the results to determine the best location for the new wells and to outline the associated upgrades that will enable a consistent supply of raw water to the plant. So the recommendation is that to assist with planning for the 2023 budget year, we ask that Council support a resolution to request technical and financial assistance from the Manitoba Water Services Board to proceed with the installation of production wells, well mechanization, and the twinning or upsizing of the raw water pipeline from Hummerston connection to the Oberon connection to allow full redundancy from the Oberon well site. The first steps will involve a pre-design with an estimate of cost and followed by a full detailed design. Early estimates would suggest a total project cost of $1.5 to $2 million to be cost shared with the Water Services Board. So this is in advance of, we're not right at the project yet, but we need design to tell us where we need to go and get some estimates.
Okay. Questions? Resolution 264, be it resolved that we request technical and financial assistance from the Manitoba Water Services Board for upgrades to the raw water supply that would include the installation of new production wells at Oberon, well mechanization, and the twinning upsizing of the raw water pipeline from the Hummerston connection to Oberon to allow for full redundancy of the Oberon well site. Moved by Deputy Mayor Parrott, seconded by Councillor Kostenchuk. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Traffic impact study.
So as we all know, Prairie Mountain Health proposes to develop a 39-acre site on the east side of town as a new regional hospital. This will be a 63-bed site, approximately 83,000 square feet in size, and the project is, you've probably noticed, some groundwork is already starting to happen out there, and they want to be ready by 2025 to open. So as part of the subdivision application, one of the requirements that was required by Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure was a traffic impact study. So we have been proceeding, working in that vein to get this completed. We did receive finally a proposal from ACOM, who has worked for us in the past and was one of the only ones that actually responded to complete this particular work. And so what they're going to do, they've offered to study this proposed development, provide a summary and a report. They're going to look at traffic volumes, traffic analysis, conceptual design of off-site improvements, because we all know access to PTH 16 might involve some intersection improvements up there, which could be costly. And they're going to do it for a lump sum fee of $20,400. So we're looking to get this further in the queue by your support of choosing to go ahead with ACOM for $20,400 for a traffic impact study.
Councillor Gerard.
I happened to notice when we were reading this traffic impact study, it doesn't specifically reference speed reduction, and I know that's something that we've talked about as a council, but it's not mentioned in this study. Is that something that's going to be solely based on provincial and highways, and they're not looking for that, not going to consider that information based on the study?
So as we all know, we submitted an application for a speed reduction, and that's been in the queue for quite a while now. Their review is going to be what exists, what is currently the status out there, because the speed reduction will clearly lessen the impact. We all know that they were waiting on our application. We have met with the minister and spoken with their department a few times to see where that application is. And more importantly, since the announcement of the hospital, needing to know where this is at, because there's going to be a lot of changes happening out there, the increase in traffic and whatnot. We also know High Life is just a little bit further to the east there, which is significant. So we will continue those meetings with the department and those questions. An upcoming meeting as well with the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure to keep putting these things forward, because I do think in the end it's going to have a big impact on no matter what happens out there.
Deputy Mayor.
Oh, with sending sewer and water, like water's already sent out there, but looping the water, sending sewer out there, our industrial park is now going to be more valuable to businesses to come and buy stuff, and then of course development happens where sewer and water is. Can we include that?
It won't be in the traffic impact study, but it will be addressed in the discussion we will be having with the minister in the next week or two.
Okay.
Okay, resolution 265, be it resolved that we accept the proposal of ACOM Canada to prepare a traffic impact study for the proposed new hospital development in Neepawa for a fee of $20,000 for $20,040 plus tax. Moved by Councillor Pottinger, seconded by Councillor Gerard. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Another town project moving into phase 2 is the multi-use trail park, also known as the bike park. Work will include a redesign of some areas that have seen excessive erosion, as well as the addition of some new trails. This too is currently in the design phase, and we will not see any new construction on that site until that is completed and tenders have gone out for the project.
Multi-use park trail.
Did you want to speak this one to me?
Sure. So as in the previous proposal of ACOM, submissions and requests went out. Captain Murray was the only applicant that was able to submit an application. The other two denied that one. And We gave them the concept of the design and speaking also with the contingencies that we had to put in place with the ISIP program, which would be more First Nations consultation and the MMF consultation. So we ensured that our consultants are aware of this. That's why we may see a higher consultation fee on this project than in prior years. But that's a fee that will be reduced if the consultation is not needed. So it's speaking with the might not see clarity there. So this will encompass redesign of some of areas that may have seen some poor erosion control, just due to the nature of the site, and then we'll look at the addition of additional trails and some corrective actions kind of around that whole zone of the multi-use trail zone. So their fees will also include the tendering and project management of the contract when the construction goes into play.
Okay, questions?
So just for clarity though, this relates to phase 2 of the multi-use trail project, or known as the bike park, and it'll coincide with the, I think it's $570,000 that we're receiving through the Investing in Canada infrastructure program.
Great.
Could you explain out loud the Valley Trail option?
It's just a concept we're looking at right now. The focus will be on the multi-use trail area though.
It links your active transportation.
That's tied to a different concept that we're looking at right now.
Okay, resolution 266. Be it resolved that we accept the proposal of Scarlett, Miller and Murray for professional services related to proceeding with phase 2 of the multi-use trail park project for a maximum estimated cost of $48,900 plus applicable tax. Moved by Councillor Kostanchuk, seconded by Councillor Gerard. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
The meeting closes with second and third reading of a new bylaw that allows the town to open roads to give service to the new hospital area. As a point of interest, the east-west road is an extension of Hamilton Street and so will be called that, but the north-south road is as yet unnamed.
So Town of Neepawa Road Opening Bylaw 3219-22. This bylaw was given first reading in November. It was circulated to provincial departments following first reading and other agencies for their commenting. Of the 7 departments and agencies that did respond, there were no concerns, but there were some comments from Hydro, Bell MTS, and Westmount. Bell MTS just indicated that any removal or relocation of Bell MTS existing facilities as a result of the proposed road opening will be at the expense of the developer or customer. Manitoba Hydro doesn't have concerns, but they will address and monitor as if there's any concerns or easement requirements through the related subdivision application. And Westmount Communications just have an underground cable that will cross under the new road on the east side of Broadway Avenue that will be required to be protected during construction. So the municipality may proceed to second and third readings of this bylaw tonight. The third reading will be recorded vote. So this will open the roads to give service to the new hospital on the southwest of 341415, which is east of Neepawa.
Deputy Mayor Stewart.
What is this road to be called?
The east-west road will be basically an extension of Hamilton and will be named as Hamilton. We've already had to give some property civic addressing to the hospital there, so it's Hamilton Street. And the other one is not been given, but it'll probably be, I guess, up for discussion. The north-south one also, to PD 16. Right now it's just the road to the north-south road to the hospital.
Everybody else for the previous mayor listing.
Yeah.
Okay, resolution 268, this is second reading. Be it resolved that bylaw number 3219-22 being bylaw of the town of Neepawa to open municipal roads in southwest 341415W be read for now for a second time. Moved by Councillor Gerard, seconded by Councillor Kostanchuk. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And now we move into our third reading, our recorded vote. Resolution 269, be it resolved that the bylaw number 3219-22 being the bylaw of the town of Neepawa to open municipal roads in excuse me, Southwest 341415 WB, now read for the third time and passed. Moved by Councillor Nadeau, seconded by Councillor Pottinger. Excuse me. All in favor? And against? Carried.
Also covered were the regular financial reports and last year's audited statements, software licensing renewal, sponsorship of the Viterra Men's Curling Championship, and additional tree removal due to Dutch elm disease. You can view end-to-end coverage of the Town Council meeting elsewhere in the NACTV schedule, including immediately following this. We welcome your feedback on this program, and if you have any questions or items that you'd like to see clarified or discussed, you can reach us at 204-476-2639 or by email at nactvnews@gmail.com. Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you next time.